March the 11th, 2023. Guys, you're looking at the book of Revelation, and this is eSword.net. It's free software. You can download it at BPearthWatch.com. Scroll down on your right, you'll see a blue box there. Just click on it, follow the download instructions. It's a very useful tool. I use it on all my Bible studies. And it has the concordances in it, the Greek and Hebrew translations, tremendous amount of search capabilities, different Bibles. This is King James. And we're looking at, again, Revelation 13. It's two sections in this chapter, the first beast and the second beast. Both have the same intent, and as well as the first 12 books of this chapter. Now, in the first one, we were dealing with a message that Christ told John to write and send to the seven churches. Get their act together, he would remove the candle, which is the angel of the church. And since then, we've been talking about how simple this is, but it's about false doctrine, the false prophet, the Antichrist, and how you're supposed to avoid it. The main thing is know the first one coming is the Antichrist. And all the symbology involved in all of this book of Revelation can be simplified back to that one thing. The rise of the beast system, and in this case, it's going to be the one world order, and then the rise of the second beast, which would be the man. Remember, it's the number of a man that's going to run this system for Satan. Revelation 13:1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Now, the sea is the sea of people. That's where it comes up from. That's what the symbology is there. And why would it say upon his heads the name of blasphemy? Because it's the false system. You can have a false prophet. When they mention blasphemy, that's going against God. And that's what this system that we see now in place around the world. They hate Christians. And when you see the 7 heads and 10 horns in this first verse, those are 7 dynasties in one aspect, looking at it from the historical point. But now what we're dealing with is 7 nations that are here now, that are joined together and have given their power over to Satan, and he's going to give them power to destroy. That's all we're dealing with here. Is 7 nations, 10 horns, and upon the horns, not the head, are the crowns. And when you're dealing with that, 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with religious authority with military backup. That's why it says upon his head's the name of blasphemy, going against God. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and great authority. Now remember, this first beast is the nations, the leaders of the nations, with its great authority. That's why they are pushing, they understand this book, that's why they're pushing this new world order through death and destruction. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. Now, who could that be? Who has been taken out of the place of power and is going to rise back into it? Let that sink in. But it's not the name that's important. It's that you realize what the events. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. He got kicked out. That's why this dragon is going to be doing what he says. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds. All kindreds, guys, the entire world. And tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. What we're all hoping for, guys, I know I am, is that my name is written in that book, but I'm not a judge, and I can't judge myself, really, or anyone else. All we can do is do our best and try. But now, the whole world, it's kind of like what happened in the last few years with the medical situation, as you were trying to tell people, you know, maybe not a good idea and everything, everyone was rushing to that. Well, you're going to see something like that, but on a religious platform. And if any man have a ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And guys, that reminds me of other verses in the Bible. But one of them is that when you're called up before the synagogues, think not what you're to say. Do not predetermine it. Let the voice of God come at that point and speak to the entire congregation. This leading into captivity and this killing with a sword, think about it. When you don't jump on that bandwagon of the new beast system and the new beast church, you're going to be outcast. You're going to be persecuted. And what this message is to the people that are going to persecute you, kill you, put you into captivity because you wouldn't go along with it. So you don't want to be a part of that. Okay? You do not want to be a part of that right there, just like he told Peter. Put the sword down, right? I'm not saying don't defend your family. What I'm saying is if you have not figured this out, this one verse should at least make you back away from persecuting your brothers that have. Now, we're halfway through with Revelation 13 because you start at 13:11. Your second subtitle or division in here is called the second beast. And this is the man, not the political religious system. It's the New World Order coming after everyone. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Again, not the sea, not the multitudes. This was one man, or is going to be. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. He looked like Jesus, acted like Jesus, but he spoke blasphemy. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and he caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Again, there's that deadly wound. Who's been taken out of power? And who could come back? And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by these means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Now, he's doing these miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast. Now, this is the first beast, the political world, the geopolitical New World Order government church. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Guys, that's going to be, in my opinion, I guess you would call it the religious police. Maybe blue helmets. Bow, take a knee now. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Guys, many people believe, if you go back up a couple of lines there to 13:16, that mark in your right hand is symbolic of your work. Do you work for a church or a beast system? Do you donate to that? Is that part of your effort and your labor? And in your forehead is, do you believe in your mind that this is Christ, this first one coming when you've been warned time and time again? Then you are marked. And that mark is not the seal of God. Remember, we talked about that. That's a good mark. It was a mark of protection. But let's look at this Revelation 13:17, save he had the mark. And it's a little different interpretation. Now, guys, what I did was switch the KJV plus button on. Let me show you that. Right here in the top left, we were looking at the King James Version. I know most of you know this, but we got a lot of new folks that come over. King James Version Plus right there, and you're seeing these numbers pop up. This all start with a G for Greek, and when you hover over these the numbers, you'll see some of the Greek meanings here, and I think that's key, especially in the Old Testament. In a lot of places, you'll see the H number in Genesis. Really is important for you to understand that. But let's scroll down here to the bottom and look at this mark. It's called G5480. And it's a scratcher etching, that is a stamp or a badge of servitude. Remember the mark that we read about early in Revelation? That was a different Greek number, and it was a mark of protection, that seal of God over you. But the Antichrist, his mark, is a scratcher etching, that is a stamp, as a badge of servitude, a sculptured figure, statue, or graven mark. Again, servitude, not protection. Now, many say that the mark could possibly be the you-know-what that they wanted everybody to take, right? But, guys, that would not, even if, and I know people that were put in a situation where they were forced to do it, and I know people that had to have an operation. When they came out of the operation, they found out they had been given it. That's not going to make you worship the Antichrist. It's not going. That's going to make you mad enough to throw a doctor out the window, maybe, or something like that. But it's not going to make you worship the Antichrist. That's in your mind, in your right hand. Just think about it. And again, it's just mark in the right hand or in the foreheads, and that no man may buy or sell. It doesn't say trade or barter. Say that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, not the system, his name. Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number 666. And you'll find a million interpretations of what that may be. But again, guys, that's not the important thing. I'll tell you what I found out 10 years ago when I was doing this chapter. But if you get hung up on who it's going to be, what that is, you're missing the point. The first one coming, pretending to be Jesus, horns like a lamb, speaks like a dragon. That's what you need to focus on, right? All of this other symbology was put here to deceive the scribes and Pharisees that wanted to change some of these words around. Some of it's more, you can see a lot of it in different sections of the Old and New Testament. Some of the alterations and some of the false input. To be honest with you, we'll get into that one day, don't worry about it. But many of you seen it where we have used this Greek and Hebrew translations, especially in Genesis, to show some very misleading information. But that was not the way God put it down. That's the way that the scribes and Pharisees translated it on purpose. But in my study years ago, I found out that the king lines in the ancient Samaria, the Anunnaki, and even up into later days, the common folks did not have a number with their name, but the priesthood, the higher up kings, princes, they did. And it turns out that 6 was the number of An, A-N, that god they worship. Now, 66 was a number given to that tribe of the Anunnaki. And 666 was a fellow called Adad, A-D-A-D. And they're talking about Abaddon and Apollyon, because what's happening is, as you went through the Romans and Greeks and all of this, Greeks and Romans, whatever order, These demigods just picked up another name, another persona. But actually, these numbers were only assigned to the kings. That's interesting. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're talking about here. There's no way I can prove that. But that Adad was quite a character. Possibly later was called Apollyon. Now, that's a deep subject, but what matters is that you know the first one coming is the false Messiah. We already see this beast system moving, don't we, guys? Out to destroy everything, banks, health, the land. And maybe they don't read Revelation where it says, I will destroy those that destroy the earth. They don't care about it. They know it's coming. They've sold their soul. Remember when they all bowed in Congress there? I think it was Nancy and that bunch. They all did a 9 minute bow, whatever it was, 9 minutes, I think. And they all bowed then. And evil has multiplied since then with that group. And that's what they want everyone to do. Revelation 14. It's called the Lamb and the 144,000. Guys, go back a few chapters. You'll see where the 144,000 came from. It says, I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount of Sion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written where? In their foreheads. Not a mark on your forehead. Where is the name written? In their forehead. Why is that? Because they understand the truth. Remember those 4 angels that went to every corner of the earth and put that seal? They preached. And it probably wasn't a long thing. It could have been like a blast of light, instant knowledge. Who knows? But that's what they did. They sealed them in their forehead. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder, and I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the 4 beasts. And the elders, and no man could learn that song but 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. This is after the tribulation. This is not the wrath of God. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel, to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Why would he do it now? Because God never gives up on his people. He gives us every chance. The patience that he has is amazing. But think about the parable of the tares for a moment. The good man planted his garden. The evil one came along, planted his seed in the garden. And when the people that tended that garden, we're talking about the angels, Satan, Christ, and God, we're talking about, they saw that there was evil seed growing in that garden, and they said, God, let us go in and pull up the tares and get it out of there. And God said, hold a minute now. In order to do that, we're going to have to tear the whole garden up. You'll kill the wheat with the tares. We don't want to destroy the earth to do this, not quite yet. I still got people there that I want to send these angels to talk to. Try to turn them around. And guys, I know I've done it before, saying, Lord, we're tired of this mess. But we got to remember that parable of the tares. When we ask him to rush in, he's still got folks he wants saved. And so by us pushing that, and if he listened to us with our not very wise thoughts at those times, if he listened to us, there'd be a lot of people left behind. We don't want to see that, do we? And let's start at 14:6 again. I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having that everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. He didn't say any particular tribe. He said everyone, because he has his seed scattered everywhere, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. He's saying, get it together now. You're about to see that hour of judgment, the wrath of God. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen. We're about to see that here. You're seeing what's happening with the banks. It's fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Who now leads the world in wars? And a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark, that same mark of servitude, in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. People rightly divide the word, as Timothy said, and that means to separate the tribulation of man, just like they did in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. In those days after the tribulation, you'll see the Son of Man. When he hits here, then we get into the deep trouble, the wrath of God. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture. It's not diluted. It's strong. Into the cup of his indignation. He is sick of it, as we are, but he has that patience to save all he can. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. Guys, in the Greek, you'll notice some of this forever and ever is finite, which means it's gone. In your memory, that will be gone. Those people that are burned up with Satan and his bunch. The smoke of the torment ascendeth forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Now, you better know what that mark is. It's not somebody tattooing you or putting a chip in you, because you would still be, unless you were just totally taken over by AI, you would still be able to think for yourself. And even though you know you're surrounded by evil, you know where the light is. You know the truth. Here's the patience of the saints again. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven, saying unto me, Write, Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Think about it, what's about to go down. And the works follow them. It's not just your faith. Your faith will lead to your works. But we talked about this before, you can believe all you want to, but your works are you're sharing that knowledge with the people around you that you care about. You want them to know the truth. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon that cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle, and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. It's time to separate the tares and the wheat. The patient part is over. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in the sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. That's not the winepress you want to be in, not the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress even unto the horses' bridles by the space of 1,600 furlongs. This war that's coming, and the people that are pushing the war and the destruction of the planet, that is where you're going to see this blood coming out of this winepress. It's going to be a tough day. But guys, what you want to do is make sure you're not part of that crowd. You want to do what? Keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus in your forehead. Revelation 14:12. But guys, we're watching this. I had a couple of comments saying or asking me, would I put this not only in a playlist, which we have, but would I put it on a CD when we're finished with all the chapters? And guys, if enough of you want to do that, I can order those. I don't want to order just 2 or 3 because it's expensive. But if you would like those, I will, as soon as we get through the last chapter, which I hope to get this sped up. We're seeing the events on the planet speed up. Let me know in the comments, and I'll have that done. You can have all of the chapters into one CD. But I'm not saying that I'm a preacher. I'm not. But I do love studying the Word, and I don't mind sharing it because that's what we're all supposed to do. I'm not perfect. My interpretations will never be perfect. No humans ever will be. But we'll know when we see it, when the thunders are revealed, when the Lord's revealed to us, and we see that blessed day. It's not going to matter if we were perfect in all ways. It's going to matter that we were trying. And we were trying to show ourselves approved by studying. And someone, if you don't mind, look in the Old Testament and tell us where it says it is the honor of kings to search out such a matter. And it has the reply of God with that. Someone look that up, put it in the comments. But guys, we're watching it. You watch it. I think this is very important because we're going to get into that first and second death here very quickly. So heads up. Be safe.